Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final lecture of Chapter 1. Congratulations on making it this far. Undoubtedly, this is a remarkable milestone, and you've been doing great as always. And trust me, this is just the beginning of your test automation journey. So let's make this one both informative and fun, shall we? Very well. Today, we are going to have a little talk on how to select the suitable test automation tool, or let's say tools. It's a long process in which a lot of stakeholders are involved, including us, test automation engineers. So we must understand how to participate in that discussion. Now, speaking of the available tools to select from, I must say that there are so many options out there that you might feel like a kid in a candy store. Seriously. But here's the thing. Choosing the right tool isn't about randomly grabbing the shiniest one off the shelf. No, it's a process and a kind of thoughtful process, I must say. So, when selecting a test automation tool, we need to consider several factors. Our focus will be on only three of them: the system under test, the project factors, and the team factors. Let's start right away with the first factor, the system under test itself. So, to make the best tool selection, we need to analyze the SUT. Things like what it is, its structure, characteristics, and its expected behavior. And we need to refer back to the requirements, right? I believe an example would be good here. We can think of a whole web application as our SUT, something like an e commerce website. Now, one of the requirements is that customers must be able to search for products and complete their purchases successfully. To be able to verify this SUT with its expected behavior, we can select a tool like Selenium WebDriver, as it can handle all the clicks, typing, and assertions of the search results. Now, let's look at the same software but from a different perspective: the API response of this e commerce app. Here, we want to automate the verification of returning the correct response type within 1 second. In this case, different tools must be used. For instance, Postman for functional API and LoadRunner for performance testing. Now, I'm sure you can see the difference here. The software is the same, but because we are focusing on different system under tests, we will need to select different tools. That's why understanding the requirements of the SUT is super important. Alright, folks, it's time to move on to the second factor that can influence test automation tool selection, which should be project goals. Yep, every project is different and has its own goals. Some projects aim for speed, others focus on quality, while some applications might focus on security and precision. You see, the goal can really vary depending on what the project needs to achieve. And here's the thing about project goals. Different goals often means different tools. So, do you remember the SUT example we talked about previously? The web app needed Selenium while the API required Postman and LoadRunner. Same idea goes here. Each project's unique goals dictate what tools will work best. You wouldn't use a hammer to tighten a screw, right? Now, here's the fun or not so fun part. There's technically no limit on how many automation tools you can use. But also, don't forget the project constraints like budget and complexity. I'm sure you can understand this statement by looking at two of the well-recognized types of automation solutions available: commercial off-the-shelf tools, frankly known as CUTs, and custom solutions with open source technology. Starting with commercial off-the-shelf tools, they are tools that are pre-built and ready to be used. Think of them like buying a car from a dealership. It's shiny, works right out of the box, and comes with support. For examples, tools like Test Complete by SmartBear fall into this category. These tools come with some challenges. They are considered pricey, may not work with all SUT technologies as they may not support all programming languages out there, and you might feel boxed in if your project has unique requirements as these tools are not that much customizable. If we shift gears to custom solutions based on open source technology, we can think of them as building your own car from scratch. Tools like Robot Framework combined with Python libraries are a great example here. These are much less costly and incredibly flexible. But, and this is a big but, they come with their own set of challenges. For instance, you'll need to design the entire framework by yourself, which takes a lot of time and planning upfront. Plus, they require extensive coding skills, and keeping them running and scaling them for larger projects can turn into a full-time job. So, nothing is perfect in life, and the same goes with test automation. This means you have to understand your project goals and business requirements at the same time to be able to pick the most suitable test automation tool considering your organization's capabilities. But it's not only about organizational capabilities. Team capabilities also affect the test automation tool selection. You see, not all test automation engineers have the same level of programming skills, and that can heavily affect our tool selection. Therefore, test automation tools come in all shapes and sizes to accommodate different skill levels. So let's start with tools that require programming skills, like Selenium or Cypress. These tools are perfect for testers who are okay with coding and can write scripts from scratch. These tools really shine in test automation as they can help you create tests tailored to your unique needs. They are flexible and scalable, so they grow with your project. And bonus, they're usually more affordable because they are often open source. But, and there's always a but, these tools can be a bit of a time sink. They are time consuming to set up and they require a lot of maintenance. Now, let's talk about low code and no code tools. These tools are the lifesaver when your team doesn't have a ton of coding experience. Catalan Studio is a good example of low-code tools, and Leapwork is an example of no-code tools. The naming is self-explanatory, I believe. Low-code tools require minimal coding skills, offering some flexibility, while no-code tools require no coding knowledge at all. Anyway, those tools are beginner-friendly and much easier to set up. Plus, they are more accessible to non-technical stakeholders. But, as you might have guessed, there are some trade-offs. Things like high cost and poor customization, poor flexibility, and poor scalability are examples. So, which type of tool is right for your team? Obviously, that depends entirely on the skill set of your testers. At the end of the day, the key is to choose a tool that matches your team's power. Because when you play to your potencies, that's when the magic of the test automation really happens. Alright, folks, that's a wrap We have learned how to pick the best test automation tool by analyzing the SUT, considering project goals, and aligning with the team skill set. Remember, it's all about finding the right tool for the job. Don't go bringing cucumbers to a cat party, if you know what I'm talking about. See you on the next lecture.